This is SGC from the year 2019. Today's movie review is on a 1982 American dystopian science fiction film by the name of Blade Runner, directed by Ridley Scott, and starring Harrison Ford, Rutger Hauer, Sean Young, and Edward James Olmos. It is loosely based on the novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. This film depicts a bare minimum representation of our time. That is all. See ya.
Whoa! SGC here. 2019's fashion sense of robots is wow. Anyway, as 2019 SGC has said, today's movie review is on Blade Runner, directed by Ridley Scott, and whatever he said. So, Ridley Scott, you all know him from recent Prometheus and The Counselor. And I have to say, the Blade Runner of 1982 has been told in my year, or screamed rather, that is a must-watch. So the plot revolves around these organic robots called replicants, and they escaped and somehow landed on Earth. And pretty much the entire movie is about a burnt-out expert Blade Runner by the name of Rick Deckard, aka Harrison Ford, and he has to like capture them, and that's pretty much the entire movie. And you got drops of hints of humanity and robots and realism and just a lot of ideas and stuff about what's real and what's not throughout this film. So what did I like about this film? Well, first off, the vibe, the atmosphere. Seriously, this movie was filmed back in 1982, but yet it feels a lot more realistic dystopian science fiction film today, actually. Like the vibe, the dirtiness, this is just the darkness and this, I don't know what else to describe it, but this just felt real. And I think it has to do with a lot of the reimagining of things, how they would look like in the future. Instead of CGI and everything, we have actual things that are built out of real physical objects instead of relying on totally on CG. And I think that's what we're missing nowadays, is that everything has to be computer graphics. It can't be built from a physical object to look like this is from the future or will be what it looks like in the future. So the vibe and atmosphere, I really dug this, and that's what really helped with the film for me. I think the entire plot is a very rundown sort of basic plot line, as in this dude, this cop, who's sort of like, I don't want this job, but I have to do it, and I have to hunt down people, and that's pretty much your basic, very basic plot. But yet they put a lot of like ideas into this dystopian Los Angeles, and it's just, that's where the story grows, and that's where audience have to think about what's real and what's not, and what does this and that really mean, sort of thing. I think the pacing of the film might turn some people off, but for me, I really enjoyed it because it was just a character development, storyline telling sort of way to just really justify action scenes, in the sense, though this movie could have been all action, but it doesn't do that. But rather, it does a lot of slow scenes where a lot of people are talking and the world building is happening there, the character development is there, the questioning is happening. And then when you have an action scene, you're like, whoa, this is intense stuff. Like, things happen in these action scenes. It's not just like, oh, I shot him, he ran away, but things happen. And also, it really builds toward the ending where Harrison and Rutger has this intense moment in the rain where you just had a crazy action scene, but yet Rutger stops there and talks. I think if the entire movie was action scene every 5 seconds, this move would have been really even worse in pacing, where everything's abrupt and it's like, oh, you just stopped all of a sudden, no more shooting, no more explosions. But rather, this scene reflects off how the pacing was throughout the entire movie, and I really did enjoy that. And also just the storyline itself, the questioning, the self-doubt, what is real and what is not, what is really human and what is not human, and all those implanted memories. There's a lot of thinking going on, and it was very enjoyable just to go on along the ride with Harrison Ford as he hunts down these replicants. And yeah, like I said before, the visuals here was just amazing, and the character development is there. And I think with such a close-knit casting, as in you're hunting down XYZ people, you really need to justify that these characters are interesting, and they do that in the sense where you're like, whoa, do I really want Harrison Ford to be catching these guys? because they just want to live, sort of thing. And then as you know more about the world, it's just like, whoa, I don't know where to go. I don't know. That's how I thought when I knew more about their situation and everything, and I really like that for sure. What did I not like about this movie? So I must go back to the pacing. Sure, some parts were kind of slow for me, and it was sort of a drag, but once you finish the entire movie, that drag totally makes sense and it's justifiable. And I would have to say that once you finish, you don't feel the movie being that bad in terms of pacing, and then I would actually appreciate it even more. And yeah, so I didn't not like anything, really. I really enjoyed the Blade Runner, though I wish there was more. I want more Blade Runner, because, you know, me and organizations, I wanted more organization. And that's pretty much it for this movie review for Blade Runner. I enjoyed the atmosphere, the vibe, the visuals, the acting, the reluctancy of Harrison Ford doing his job, and yet this sympathetic anti-hero in terms of the robots, these replicants, was a awesome job in terms of storytelling. And I still can't believe it's a 1982 movie, because it totally feels like it could be played now, and I would have totally loved it. And like I said, I really wish that maybe more science fiction go this route where things are built rather than relying on CG, because it feels a lot more immersive here. Even the backdrops felt more realistic in terms of just like, oh, that's not a green screen, the people are actually there vibe. Like, I don't know how much was relied on, like, on computer graphics back then, but it felt more realistic to me in that sense, and I really enjoy that for sure. And that's pretty much it for this review for Blade Runner. I enjoyed it. Totally check it out. It is one of the classics that you must watch as a sci-fi, even just plain movie fan, that you must just watch this. You like it or not, up to you obviously, but you gotta say that I watched Blade Runner. And that's it for this movie review of Blade Runner. See ya.